OvidMedline, presented by Reference and Educational Services of the Moody Medical Library. What is Medline? Medline is the premier biomedical database from the National Library of Medicine, searching the biomedical literature from 1946 to the present. The biomedical literature is actually just about 5,600 journals that the National Library of Medicine has chosen to include, and is covering about 39 different languages. Medline does only include journals, so you won't find conference proceedings, books, videos, or anything like that in the database, journal articles only. Medline is created through a process called indexing. The National Library of Medicine hires subject experts to look at the journals that they're including, read the articles, and describe them in a controlled way with something called medical subject headings. The result of this indexing is something called the unit record. This record represents the article, and that is what you're searching when you're searching the Medline database. For example, here is a record for an article titled "A Stingray Injury in a Devotee of Aquarium Fishes." If I scroll down, I can see the medical subject headings used to describe this article. It's about bites and stings and fish venoms and hand injuries, etc. If you notice, some of these terms have an asterisk to the left. That means that the indexer thinks that these terms represent the main idea. Some of the terms are qualified with a slash and a two-letter code and then spelled out. These are referred to as subheadings, so it's not about everything about bites and stings, but just bites and stings from the viewpoint of their etiology. Not everything about the skin, but injuries to the skin. This is a feature that we will see when we go through the searching process in the Ovid search interface. The nice thing with searching with medical subject headings means that we're searching the concept or the idea, not the string of characters that the author chose to use. This helps take care of the problems of synonyms in medical terminology. For example, if I'm interested in type 2 diabetes, if I search the medical subject heading, diabetes mellitus, type 2, then it doesn't matter if the author of the article referred to that condition as non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, type 2 diabetes with the Roman numeral 2, type 2 diabetes with Arabic numeral 2, adult onset diabetes, NIDDM, etc. So now let's take a look at our question. In elderly patients with hypertension, are yoga, biofeedback, and meditation effective in bringing blood pressure within normal limits? And we're interested in finding randomized controlled trials to answer this question. When I'm looking at my question, it's important to then identify the key terms that I'm going to search, because I don't need to type the entire sentence into the search blank. And in fact, the search interface will work better if I search them one concept at a time. So I might go through and highlight or circle or underline, in this case I put them in red, the terms that are going to be important to be represented in my search. Or said another way, my search terms are going to be hypertension, yoga, biofeedback, or meditation. And then I'm going to deal with the fact that I only want to read English language articles, the age of the patient, the study design, and maybe recent articles with the limitation feature in the interface. I am now in the OvidMedline database. I connected to this resource from the library's homepage. I'm on what's referred to as the main search page, and I'm going to do my search by entering my terms one concept at a time. This is going to help take advantage of the mapping feature that will get me from my way of referring to the world to the medical subject heading. For example, if I type in high blood pressure instead of hypertension, it's able to figure out that I meant hypertension here. It's asking me if I want to explode the term, and in fact has already filled a check mark in there. The rule of thumb is to always explode, so that feature is already selected for you if that's possible. Explode takes advantage of the fact that the medical subject headings live in a hierarchy, or that there's parent and child relationships among the terms. When I explode, not only do I get the parent term, but I get any children or grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren that might be indented underneath. It's a very comprehensive way of searching, so the rule of thumb is to always explode. The other question that it's asking me on this screen is if I want to focus. Focus says only give me the term if it represents the main idea of the article. If you remember, I pointed out the terms with asterisks in it when we looked at the sample record. This says only give me terms when the indexer has put that asterisk in front of the search term. The rule of thumb with focus is to use it sparingly or not at all. In fact, you do not want to put it on every single search term because you miss good articles that way. In general, I skip the focus feature quite a bit. My preference is usually to look through some articles that might be a little less relevant than worrying about missing something. If I do not use the focus feature, I don't have to worry about missing articles on the topic, though I may see some results that are a little less relevant. In this case, I'm going to just simply click the Continue button and go to the next screen. Now it's asking me if I want to apply any subheadings. If you remember, we looked and saw the slash and the two-letter codes after the terms in the sample record. This is where I get to select if I want to use any of these. This is a very typical list for a disease term. So if I needed to diagnose hypertension, there is a diagnosis subheading right here. If I wanted to treat hypertension, or sometimes we'll hear the question, how do you manage the patient with hypertension? Well, what does treatment mean, or what does management mean? It can mean a lot of different things. And if I want kind of anything that could be, then I need to make sure that I'm comprehensive when I look and make selections on this list. So, for example, there's diet therapy, drug therapy, prevention and control, radiotherapy, rehabilitation, surgery, and therapy. This plain old therapy at the end of the list is a catch-all for treatments that don't fit neatly into those other categories. If I knew I only wanted drug therapy, I would be fine just selecting that term, or only surgery, that's fine. But if again, what could I use, what could be done, then I need to make sure I'm comprehensive on this list. Usually I will use a subheading if I can say the subheading and subject heading in combination and make a phrase in my sentence. So in this case, there's not any one of these things that are jumping out at me sort of in particular. The meditation and yoga and biofeedback might fall under that general therapy catch-all term, but it could potentially get into rehab or maybe even with the prevention and control, and I think it just starts muddying the waters at that point. So when I don't see a clear, almost literal connection, I will usually prefer to include all of the subheadings. I'm now done searching the hypertension term, and it's time to start typing in the other choices that I'm interested in. So I can type in yoga. Again, it found a direct match for yoga, but it's suggesting some other terms that I might find helpful. In this case, not so much, so I'll just go ahead and click Continue. You can see we've got a different list here for yoga. Again, none of these subheadings set in combination with the subject heading help me ask my question, so I'll go ahead and click Continue and select them all. And the same thing with biofeedback. You can see that you can actually get through these screens relatively quickly once you have an idea of what those screens are asking of you. So I've typed in meditation, and in this case I've got kind of a nice lengthy list here. So it found the direct match, but it's saying articles that are talking about meditation are also being indexed to these particular terms. And so if I look at that list, I'll sometimes see other concepts that might help me ask my question, because relaxation therapy might actually match sort of the intent of my question, or same thing with the relaxation term. When I see multiple terms on this screen, I may make multiple selections, but I have to be very careful that they all need to be either ored or anded together. I can't say or this together and then and it with thinking or something like that. It's one or the other. So it makes it very easy to kind of over or on the screen if you're not very careful. I would not want to select adult at this point because I don't want adults to be ored onto the end, so it would give me anything about adults and not related to my other terms. So be really careful, especially when you see the age groups start popping up on this list. The other thing that happens when I click the Continue button with multiple terms selected is that I'll skip the subheading screen. Now, I frequently don't apply subheadings, so usually that's not much of a problem, but it's important to know that you do skip that step. So now I have my 4 different search steps here, and right now all of my results are just here sitting independent of one another. I need to start combining these things together. When I can combine with and, or I can combine with or. Or is going to be my expansive way of combining. It's good for putting like concepts together or synonym building, sort of like what I did here with my relaxation therapy or meditation or relaxation step. So does a good article have to talk about yoga and biofeedback and meditation at the exact same time, or could it be about any one of those? If I can say any or either, then that's a good chance that I need to or. I'll simply click check marks next to the sets that I need to work with and come down and click the or button. I'm going to come over here and click the expand tab so I can see every single line of my search history. And so now I don't want to just read through all of these yoga, biofeedback, relaxation articles and hope that I run into one about hypertension. I need to force those concepts to overlap. So when I need them to overlap, that's when I'm going to choose and. So I'm clicking those check boxes and click and for that restrictive way of combining. So I have almost 1,200 references. That's still way too many to look through. But I have to remember that I'm searching from 1946 to the present. I'm including every single language in the database. I also said that our patient was elderly, and I wanted the last, or that I wanted randomized controlled trials. So maybe some limits will help me out in this case. I'm going to scroll down, and the most frequently used limits are just right here below the search box. So I can come here and I can click English, and maybe I'll go ahead and click from 2000 to the present. When I'm interested in age, I'm going to do that with the age group box. We have everything from all infant, all children, and all adult to those age groups broken down to newborns all the way up to aged 80 and over. So I might decide to get both age 65 and over and age 80 and over, and click the search button. And that's going to automatically apply those limits to the very last line in my search set. So that gave me 71, so a big improvement over almost 1,200. However, I also said I wanted to look at randomized controlled trials. Randomized controlled trials are handled as a publication type in the Medline database. So I'm going to come over here to the publication type menu, and I can simply start scrolling down. I can actually see that all phases of clinical trial are available. Comparative study can also be frequently handy. There's a controlled clinical trial, and eventually, there we go, get down to the R for randomized controlled trial. It is possible to control click in this box, so if, say I wanted to get controlled clinical trials or randomized controlled trials, I can do that. It's just not quite as convenient because they're separated alphabetically. So I can click search, and now I only have 28 results to look at. Now, randomized controlled trials and other formats of clinical trial are treated as publication types. As we were scrolling through the menu, you may have not had the chance to notice, but not every single study design is treated as a publication type. So cohort studies, case control studies, those kinds of things are handled as search terms instead of publication type limits. And that's just something that the National Library of Medicine made a decision on how they were going to handle it. So for example, if my question had said, are there any cohort studies about this? To search for a cohort study, I would simply type in cohort study and map the term, and then I could end it with my results set. So of those 71 articles, 16 of those have something to do about cohort studies. If I need to look at the results from another set, then I can just come up here and click display. So if I want to look at the results of the randomized controlled trials, I simply click display and scroll down, and I can start looking through them. I can click check marks next to the references that look interesting. It's going to, by default, show me 10 at a time. I can click the next link to get to the next page. It will remember those check boxes. I would be using the Find It at UTMB button to connect to full text or to find out if we have the access to those articles. I can send these results to myself in an email. I'll simply click email. I can fill out the form, give it a meaningful subject line, probably take just the citation and abstract because I just want the reference and then the summary. Select citation style. I can choose Ovid labeled citation, which gives me each field on its own line. It also is offering to format your references in one of these citation styles. Note that if you do select that, you will not receive the abstract. Also, with these different citation styles, I always say trust but verify. You have to make sure that it translated the reference style correctly and that it did the capitalization and the spacing and tabs and things like that as it's supposed to. With the include, it's going to automatically include a link to external resolver. This is going to put the link equivalent of the Find It at UTMB button in your email results. So when you email those results to yourself, you will be able to go from your email and into any full text that we happen to subscribe to. It's also going to give you a copy of the search history so you can see those list of steps that you used to find those articles. This concludes the OvidMedline demonstrations. If you have any questions, please ask a librarian. You can chat or email us from the library's homepage. You can call us at 409-772-2372. Send us a text message at 409-433-9976 or come visit us at the information desk. The reference librarians are there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we'd love to see you. Thank you.